The Battle of the Helios Rift had raged for 17 standard cycles. Across the shattered asteroid belt of the Proxima Centauri system, the combined fleets of the Galactic Concord, a coalition of 12 advanced species, were being systematically annihilated by the Vorak swarm. The Vorak, a hive-minded techno-organic collective, didn't conquer. They consumed. Their warships weren't built, they grew, self-replicating horrors of biometal and neural plasma that absorbed enemy tech, adapted mid-combat, and turned fallen vessels into new weapons. The Concord's dreadnoughts, once symbols of unity, now drifted as hollowed-out husks, their cores repurposed into Vorak spawning nodes. Admiral Kalin of the Zenthari fleet watched helplessly as his flagship's shields flickered under relentless assault. "We're losing cohesion," he rasped. "Evacuate non-combatants. Prepare for final—" Then a new signal cut through the comm static, not encrypted, not coded, just a simple open-channel broadcast on an obsolete Terran frequency. "This is the UNS Odyssey, requesting tactical clearance to enter the Helios Rift." Silence fell across the bridge. "A human ship?" "Here, now." Humans had only achieved FTL travel 30 cycles ago. They weren't even full Concord members, just observers, still rebuilding from their own planetary wars. Their fleet consisted of a handful of retrofitted freighters and one prototype cruiser, the Odyssey, rumored to be more science lab than warship. "Deny entry," barked a Threlian commander. "That vessel will be vaporized in seconds." But before anyone could respond, the Odyssey dropped out of warp. It wasn't impressive by galactic standards. 300 meters long, matte black hull, no visible weapons arrays, no energy spikes. It looked quiet, almost peaceful. The Vorak didn't even acknowledge it. To them it was irrelevant, a gnat buzzing near a storm. Then the Odyssey activated its drive. Not a plasma thruster, not an Alcubierre warp bubble, something else entirely. Space around the ship stuttered. Not warped, paused. For 0.8 seconds, time itself seemed to hiccup. Sensors across the battlefield glitched. The Vorak swarm faltered mid-charge. On the Odyssey's bridge, Captain Elias Vance stood alone. No crew, no AI co-pilot. Just him, a coffee mug, and a console humming with equations no other species had dared to solve. "Phase resonance initiated," he murmured. "Let's see if Einstein was right." Again. What the Concord didn't know was that humanity hadn't spent the last decades building weapons. They'd been studying causality. While other species chased firepower, humans asked, "What if you don't destroy the enemy, but unmake the conditions that allow them to exist?" The Odyssey wasn't armed. It was a causal disruptor. Its core housed a stabilized chronoton lattice, a device that didn't fire beams or missiles, but emitted a localized temporal echo tuned to the Vorak's bioneural frequency. The swarm's greatest strength, their hive mind's instantaneous coordination, relied on quantum-entangled consciousness across light years. But entanglement required causal continuity. The Odyssey broke that. With a single pulse, it introduced a paradox into the Vorak network, a signal that arrived before it was sent. Not a virus, not a hack, a logical impossibility. And hive minds, for all their power, cannot process contradiction. Across the battlefield, Vorak ships froze, then convulsed. Biometal cracked. Neural plasma boiled. The swarm's collective consciousness short-circuited as millions of minds tried and failed to reconcile an effect without a cause. One by one, the Vorak vessels collapsed inward, not exploding, but unraveling, their organic circuits dissolving into inert sludge, their weapons powering down as if they'd never existed. In less than 10 seconds, the tide turned. The entire Vorak armada, 10,000 bioships, capable of devouring star systems, went dark. Silence returned to the Helios Rift. On the Zenthari flagship, Admiral Kalin stared at the viewscreen, jaw slack. What did they do?" A human technician aboard the Concord medical frigate whispered the answer. Awed. "They didn't fight the swarm. They made it logically impossible for it to keep fighting." Captain Vance hailed the Concord fleet. His voice was calm, almost apologetic. "Sorry for the delay. We had to finish calibrating the paradox dampeners. You're safe now." Then, without fanfare, the Odyssey turned and jumped to warp, leaving behind a battlefield of dead monsters and stunned allies. Back on Earth, in a quiet lab beneath the Andes, Dr. Mei Lin watched the after-action reports. Her team had spent 20 years proving that consciousness couldn't survive causal loops. The Vorik had just confirmed it. When asked why humanity kept such a weapon secret, she simply said, "Because some truths are too dangerous to share until the universe forces your hand." The Galactic Concord immediately petitioned for Earth's full membership and demanded answers. But humanity offered none. They only transmitted a new universal protocol. Do not threaten Earth, not because we'll destroy you, but because we might make your existence inconsistent. From that day on, no species dared attack human space, not out of fear of firepower, but because humanity had done the unthinkable. They'd weaponized logic itself, and in a universe built on cause and effect, that was the ultimate power.